Hello, everyone. Welcome to NLP and the Coronavirus Day 31. I think we're on there. We're on now. And as you can see, I'm joined by a guest once again. I'm joined by none other than Gavin Ingham.
Hi, Dave.
Hi. And, as usual, when I'm with my guest in the virtual green room, we're chatting about things. Gavin came and did my master practitioner training and coaching skills for NLPers in the late 90s. So another one of my friends that, we've known each other for over 20 years. We've done some training together. We ran an event called Selling from Nothing, which is absolutely fantastic. And Gavin is the founder of I Am 10, which is like particularly around working with people in any particular field around high performance. And around about the same time, Gavin actually, about the same time as me, when with the coronavirus pandemic starting to realize that this was more serious than we thought, launched a project where he's doing live interviews with some of the real top people around the world called the Thrive Project. So check that out. So Gavin, we were chatting before, and we said, around that I'd kind of like come up with this concept of stabilize, ground, and grow, and then and then I said, where do you think you fit in with that? And you said probably around the ground and the grow thing, but then we started to talk. It might be across all three. So, I like people to really share with our viewers their take on the current situation and what we can actually do about it. So, over to you.
Thanks. Well, feel free to ask questions as we go. Like everybody, I clearly have an opinion. Which you know me, I'm a Yorkshireman and I have a lot of opinions. But I think a lot of it is crystal ball stuff. I think one of the first things is that there's a lot of people out there who are suffering, and people like to say we're all in the same boat now, and we're not in the same boat. We might be on the same wave or in the same storm, but we're all on very different boats. You've got people out there who are working harder than ever in the essential services in the NHS. You've got people struggling to keep businesses afloat, furloughing people, making people redundant, worrying about whether they'll have a business afterwards. You've got, conversely speaking, you've got people who are furloughed and probably are having, particularly with this nice weather, I'm not to say they've not got worries, but financially they're in a great position, particularly if they're not worrying about whether they'll have a job afterwards. Then you've got people like us, which we were talking about before, and have literally been decimated by this because we kind of fall through the cracks. And then I was talking to somebody the other day, and they were talking about the demand on the food banks because so many 0 hours contract people just don't have any money at all. So we're all experiencing different things. And I think as I've been interviewing people over the last 3.5 weeks, one of the things I've really been interested in is, not so much what's going on right now, but what's going to happen and what the impact's going to be. And therefore what people need to do to get themselves in the right place now and to move forward, because I don't think anybody was expecting this. It's bizarre, isn't it? Because everybody said for years, it's not if, it's when. But it's just one of those things you heard, isn't it? It's not if, it's when a pandemic. And we're all like, yeah. And then even as it was happening, I remember literally about 8 days before we were locked down, sitting with a client, and we were having this conversation, and there were several people around, and we were down in Bournemouth, and I just walked along the front, and the surfers were walking up with their surfboards, and I was thinking, isn't life great? And then we started talking about this, and people going, yeah, it won't happen here. It's not going to happen here. And that was the Friday. And then Italy got locked down properly over the weekend, and by Wednesday, I'd lost 6 figures of business out of my diary, and it just imploded from there. And by the following month, Sunday, Monday, was it? We were locked down. And just extraordinary. Did not see it coming. So my focus has been very much on how can I help people to it's similar to you, really. Get themselves into the right place and strengthen their mindset and also actions.
Yeah.
It's a vague answer, but I don't really know what the answer is to the situation, because people have such different opinions, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you come across the Nassim Taleb's book Black Swan.
Yes.
This is a total black swan. There was no contingency plan in place. It was like, this is like an equivalent of a 9/11.
Yeah.
It'll never happen. There's no point even putting a contingency plan in, because the probability of it happening here is so small that there's no way that we can plan for it. And then it goes, boom, you're in the middle of it. And you're like, whoa, okay, what do I do now? And a lot of businesses have been dramatically changed after this whole term of pivot and all that kind of stuff. Like you and I've had to do. But some other businesses, how do you pivot? How do you pivot a pub?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's shut with no customers. And if you believe the statistics in a lot of the media, and I'm very hesitant to believe anything I read in the media, if only because you can read two articles in the same paper on the same day, which tell you entirely different things. But if you believe a lot of the statistics, one of the challenges people are going to have, and it's not surprising when you think about it, is actually getting people to go out and go to pubs again, getting people to go out and do things again, because I think they said a certain group of people, but it's quite small, are just going to go yee-haw and off they go, and a certain group are going to be very cautious, and a third group are just not going to move out of lockdown. Apparently they're just going to stay in lockdown for a while.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to put a little hole in the mask and
I mean, the impact on the high street. I mean, people are talking about, and I hope they're right. I mean, one of the themes that's come through a lot of my interviews is the importance of relationships and communication. And I agree with that. And I think people have realized that, somebody said to me today, well, one of the things I've just realized is that I didn't go and see my mother very much, and I just want to go and hug her. And I think that's lovely. And I think people have this vision of this kind, beautiful world. I hope so. And I think on an individual level, people will make changes without a doubt. Whether there will be a global change around that, I'm slightly more skeptical. I am from Yorkshire, as I think I already said. Yeah. But I think what will change, without a shadow of a doubt, is the economy. The economy is in all sorts of trouble. And I think we are going to have to make changes. Questions are going to be asked around certain things. In my industry, a lot of what I do is speaking, and that industry's gone. I mean, gone for the foreseeable future. And I think, even when people get back to work and they start getting back to something that looks more like normal, there's going to be other things that are going to come up first, such as an assessment of how did working from home go? Do we need all of those stuff? Do we need those premises anymore? Are people who've gone bust on high streets, are other people going to rush to take those premises and those commitments, knowing that coronavirus might come back and there might be another lockdown? I doubt it. So I think things are going to change quite dramatically around those areas. And I think we've all got to be flexible to deal with those situations.
Yeah, I think flexibility is the real key thing. I saw your email this morning about you get this thing from somebody wanted to train speakers and stuff, going, when we're out of lockdown, there'll be an unprecedented call.
That's what they genuinely said.
Speakers. And I'm going, and I'm reading.
He sent it. The irony is, he sent it again today. I've had it again today.
And I'm going, just like you. I'm going, if only. But then, from a flexibility point of view, I got approached by a company now just yesterday. Did the deal with them yesterday, where they want me to do a webinar on a regular basis for their group of people, for which they're going to pay me for. So, if you are flexible, then you can go like, right, okay, I've got the grips with the technology. Mm-hmm. Then, I don't know if I'd have ever got that if it hadn't been for
No.
this situation. Yeah. Um, so I like to have my guests, share with our audience like a little either a process or like something or some action that they can take right away, or they can take after they've watched this, whether they're watching it live or whether they're watching it on the replay. I know you've got lots of these kind of things. So what would be your takeaway for people that they could do?
Sure. I think, and talking to probably quite a lot of your audience are NLPers, and I think one of the interesting things about that is a lot of NLPers, and I know obviously a lot, people I still keep in contact from the courses and things, have a lot of knowledge around this stuff. So I'm probably not going to say anything that anybody doesn't already know. But what I think it is driving it down to simple, applicable strategies. I'm working with CEOs, MDs, individuals, helping them to increase their performance. What I found is it's simple things.
Yeah.
People who are great they major in simple things, simple strategies that get done. And I think that's where one of the issues is occurring right now, because when I talk about the high performance model and being a 10 in a nutshell, without going into too much detail, just being the best you can be, being a 10 out of 10. And I talk about the importance of that in situations, whether that's selling or business or relationships or finance. And clearly, right now, that's what's happening. People are struggling to be in the 10, whether that's because of anxiety, fear, panic, whatever, or whether it's because of fear or self-doubt or just a variety of things. How do they get to be a 10? And for me, there are 3 core building blocks of being the best you can be in each scenario. The first is conviction. And conviction simply means having a belief in yourself, having a belief in what you're doing, having a belief in your ability to achieve, and just feeling good about yourself in essence. So it's that base, that inner base off which everything else flies. And as NLPers, we could all break that down in a far more complicated way. The challenge we've got right now regarding conviction is a lot of people have lost all conviction. I had a wobble, and it's okay to have a wobble, isn't it?
Yeah, I've had lots, mate.
I had a wobble week last Monday, and it's just a bad day. I could tell you all the external triggers. There were loads of them. I didn't feel particularly well. I had a bad night's sleep. We've got 3 small children, 4, 6, and 7. We're completely isolated, so we're not getting out. They were, I don't know, all over the place. My wife was in the mood and I don't blame her, because she'd had them all day, and they were just, and on top of all of that, we got I got a bill from my credit card company for £5,500. And at this point, my income was 0. And I've got this bill for £5,500 for travel I did last month, which just, when I'm stuck here, felt like the insult of the week. I mean, I knew I had to pay it. I then had to pay the VAT bill. And it's like, well, you don't have to pay the VAT bill. Well, yeah, I do. I'll pay it now, or I'll pay it in 6 months' time. Or, yeah, I got to pay it. I might as well pay it now. I had to transfer some money into my personal account because my personal account ran out of money. And I don't know, we sent some money for the Spanish property or something like that. There was just thousands and thousands went out, and then there's stuff going on in the house, and it just hit me, and I wasn't prepared for it, and I had a wobble. And, so it was a case that my wife said to me, she said, but you've always said, whatever happened, you could turn it. She didn't say it accusatorily. She said it to build confidence. You could turn it around. And I went, yeah, but that was based on there being a market. That was based on me being able to go and deliver it. That was based on having something to sell. And she said, but you've got something. But in that moment, I was just having this wobble. Yeah, and inside of my model, that's a complete loss of conviction. And there are many things you can do around building conviction. And I think even if I just say, think about that from an NLP's perspective, they will have techniques and they will have strategies. But I find just simple things that you can control, such as thinking about what you're doing well and focusing on your skill set that's useful and thinking about your greater meaning. So for me, one of the things, and I know it has been for you, with your project, the Thrive project, where I'm thinking outside of myself and thinking how I can help others, has been very, very useful. Simple exercises like gratitude and a little bit of meditation and just focusing on things I've done in the past and how that was successful have all helped to just keep that conviction. Which brings me on to the second strategy. And the second strategy is clarity. And that's what to do, what not to do, when to do it. And I think even in normal times, people struggle with that stuff because we all get disturbed all of the time. But right now, that clarity's gone. You know, whatever you are, whatever you're doing, what are you supposed, let's just take one tiny little thing, kids. What are we supposed to be doing with them? Are we supposed to be educating them? Are we supposed to be having lessons for them all day? Are we supposed to be stopping them being in front of the iPad, or giving them the iPad and say, watch the BBC things? Or is it just keeping them happy? And everybody has their opinions, but we don't have a strategy. We don't have clarity. From a business perspective, what should you be doing right now? I had as you know, because we did the selling from nothing, I've got a big history in sales, but people are coming to me and saying, what should I be doing right now? On the one hand, you've got this guy going, buy my course on speaking. And you and I are both going, are you kidding me? So that's wrong. But then someone else has gone, that's it. I'm not playing. There's no point selling anything now. Well, that's probably equally wrong. But then if you are going to reach out to your clients, as an example, again, what should you be doing? I'll give you a clue, by the way, on that one. It's quite simple. It's work out who your perfect client is, work out what their problems right now are, create a solution that you can reach out to them and start reaching out to them, offering something that adds value for them right now and building the relationship for the future. That's relatively easy. But the point is, until somebody gives you that strategy, you don't have clarity, right? How should you be structuring your day? It goes on and on and on. So I think linked to, and I think there's a piece I missed out of conviction here, help others, but also set long-term goals. Somebody said to me the other day, they said, and you and I had this conversation because you'd had a very similar conversation, and somebody said, well, there's no point, is there? There's no point setting goals. There's no point having, and there's a lot of people in that mindset right now, maybe not goals, but you need to have a dream. You need to have that approach, because only by knowing what that is can you have any clarity, right? I interviewed a friend of mine who's a careers coach yesterday, and he said there was a lot of people out there right now who are furloughed. And the end up shot of them being furloughed is they're going to be made redundant. And yet right now, they're doing nothing. And really, they need to be thinking about what's good about them, what they've done, what they've got, conviction, but where they need to go and what they need to be doing. So I think asking yourself, clarity, what should I be doing? What shouldn't I be doing? Where am I wasting my time? Where am I spending the right time? So I think getting some clarity, even if it's just around relationships and how you're communicating. There's all those stats out there right now that there's going to be this boom of babies and divorces.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, which side of that equation do you want to be on? Make your mind up and act the right way. If you want to get divorced, you know what to do. If you want to have a baby, probably a bit more fun. I don't know. But anyway, which leads us on to the third one. And these three.
I think we should move on to the third one fairly quickly.
Which is, you could still apply to the same strategy, Dave, and that's consistency. Whatever you're going to do, you need to make sure that you do it consistently, right? And even in normal times, that is the most frustrating thing, isn't it? Both in yourself and in managing other people. You know what to do. You're motivated. You want to do it, and when you do it, you're great at it. But for some bizarre reason, you just don't keep on doing it.
Yep.
And I think that consistency comes down to a few things. Part of it is structure. So it's habit and structure. And we could get into a whole conversation about willpower versus habit and all that kind of stuff. But in essence, people have a structure for performing well. And for a lot of people, that comes from a combination of internal and decision and a combination of environment. And of course, for so many people, if not everybody, that external environment has just been ripped away. So you're not getting up at the same time, you're not getting dressed, you're not going to work, you're not having that conversation around the water cooler, nobody's saying to you, what are you doing today? No, and all of a sudden, you're in this position that you didn't choose to be in, lacking conviction, lacking clarity, and with no environment supporting consistency whatsoever. Right. So, I'll tell you a little bit of story about me and working from home, just to show you how important this is. When I go back to probably just after we met, and a few years after that, I decided I want to go out and do this kind of thing and work for myself. And my dream was never to have loads of staff and a big business. I love doing the job. I love helping people. I love talking to people. But I wanted to make it successful. And I also wanted to work from home. I don't know why. I think I was frustrated with travel, and I just thought, I'll work from home. So when I'm not traveling around the world, I'm working from home. And that was my aim. And it went great for 14 years. And then we had a baby. And my wife, Alex, left work.
Right.
It went down the tubes overnight.
Right.
Not because the baby's crying, not because of the noise, just because the whole environment did not support me anymore. Right. And I was motivated and I knew what I wanted to do, but I couldn't do it. Now, because I recognized that, and because we had the time, and because whatever, I built an office. So I built an office. I've created the office. The environment supports me, and I got out here and everything's fine. But right now, a lot of people are trying to do things in environments that don't support them, right? One of the things I'm asking, a lot of people to do is look at the environment they're trying to work in and try and make it make sense. Likewise, look at the environment, in vis-a-vis relationships or children or whatever, and think about how is the environment, how are those triggers negatively or positively affecting me, and what can I do about them? Because I think in a battle of us against the environment, we consistently lose. Yeah. So if you look at what I'd be looking to try and do, it's asking yourself, how can I believe? How can I have conviction? What do I need to be doing? And how can I create an environment and a structure that will support me in doing those things? I think if you're being grateful for what you've got, not what you have, if you're focusing on what you can do and what you can't do, and if you're helping others outside of yourself, I think all of those will overlay all of those and help you to deal mostly with this situation. I think we have to deal with change. And I think, as the email this morning, it's going to be the people who embrace change.
Yeah.
And I think acknowledge, I don't think anybody's looking for anybody to say, I'm perfect. You and I have had this conversation. We've both wobbled big style.
Yeah.
But, be okay about that, embrace that, learn from that, and then think about what do I need to do to move on.
And it won't be the last wobble either.
No.
Because we don't know what else is coming, that was that whole thing that I realized about the stabilize, ground, and grow, was that it wasn't linear. There's so many people in the personal development world, the NLP world, that went like, well, I got rid of my limiting beliefs 30 years ago. Why do I have to do it again? Now you're finding out, well, I have to do it again, and being okay with wobbling. I think that's a really important thing. No matter who you are, what going, oh, okay, I'm having a wobble, and just like you've just been being honest about that. I'm wobbly today, you might want to apologize for it, or please forgive me, or whatever. I don't think you really need to. But I love that, the conviction, clarity, and consistency. Very, very simple, 3 things that you can just focus on, pay attention to. Just pay attention to those 3 things.
I want to share another thing as well, because I think and this isn't mine. This is from an interview I did with a chap called Greg Willett, and I've known Greg a long time. And Greg talks about ready, aim, fire. And he says that was the wrong way, wasn't it? It's that way, ready, aim, fire. And he says that that's what we're all brought up to do. And what happens a lot of the time is we get ready and then we get lost in aim. We get too many choices and we never end up firing. And I think what happens with a lot of people to aim, they require certainty, i.e. they require 100% conviction and clarity to ever have a go. And I think right now, you know, and again, we had this conversation. We both dived into not dissimilar projects. And Dave, I hope you don't mind me sharing, but Dave said to me before this call, just out of interest, Gav, how much time are you committing to this? And I went, bizarrely, more than I was to my full-time business before. Yeah. Now that in itself, you can't have 100% certainty about that, because how can you be giving more time to a free project?
Yep.
I don't know that's right. You don't know it's right. You believe it's right. And what Greg says, and I just went, I don't think it's quite that simple, but I love the concept. He went, ready, fire, aim.
Right. Yes.
So send the bullet off, send the arrow off, and then correct it a little bit.
Yeah. Or find out if it worked. If it worked, then perfect it.
Yeah.
There's so many people are wanting to perfect it before they fire it, and then they fire it, and the target wasn't there. And
the reality is, right, people are standing up right now and going, here's the solution, here's the answer. And my northerner in me goes, tosser. Because how do they know? How do they know? They didn't see it coming. They didn't know what was going to happen. They don't know where we're going. They don't know what's going to happen. And it's people searching for certainty. But you've kind of got to get clarity around what you want to do based on where you want to be, and then go for it and assess as you're moving and see if that's the right thing. Because the one thing we don't want to be doing is sitting. Because the problem is, if we sit dithering, we have no clarity, no consistency, no action, and no conviction. So it all just falls down. And then when you get into that, you'll find yourself watching the news and writing down how many people have died and trying to plot a graph as to whether we're coming out of it, or trying to second guess what the government is going to say about releasing us, which is what all the media are doing. And frankly, it's pointless. You know, they are going to do whatever they're going to do. And the one thing they're not going to be control, and the one thing that's not going to have any respect for what any of them think, is the coronavirus. It's going to do whatever it's going to do. So we have to focus on what we control and what we do. And therefore, if you can get that, but as I say, I think that certainty thing, that want for certainty, I think right now, using whatever method you want, you've kind of got it. It's almost a belief, isn't it? It's a belief of it's okay to be wrong.
And before, it was out here.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not there anymore.
Well, you could look for a model, couldn't you? I mean, the typical one would be go and find somebody who's done what you want to do and model it, right? That would be the NLP way of doing it, and that would be a really good way of doing it. So who is this person who's dealt with the coronavirus before? No one.
Doesn't exist.
Yeah. So you've got to have that conviction that action is better than no action, I think.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. That's fantastic, Gavin. Thanks for sharing that. I'm going to tag Gavin into the post. So that you can find out where he is. You want to check out his I Am 10 and the Thrive Project. I highly recommend that. And also, if you've got any questions for either me or for Gavin, just put them in the comments below. And because I'm tagging Gavin in, he'll see the thread, so he'll reply to the comments. I know he will do that. Any questions? So thanks again, Gavin. That was absolutely wonderful, brilliant. Again, wherever you are in the world watching this, love you lots. And our parting gesture is always, because I started this when I was out in Hawaii, is ahui ho, which means until we meet again.
Brilliant.
Ahui ho.